I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus for it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song, sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song. I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus. I've heard them sing, he paid the price and Jesus bore it all. I've heard them sing, I'm coming home, and heed the master's call. I've heard them sing the modern songs and songs of long ago. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. No sweeter song, sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. It was the song my mother sang in sweet and humble voice. Like music from the world above, it made my soul rejoice. Its soothing words and melodies like the rippling waters flow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. Amazing grace, so sweet the sound, oh how sweet is the sound. Sweeter song in this life could be found. Heard about the Savior's blood, washed as white as snow. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. But amazing grace, so sweet the sound is the sweetest song I know. The sweetest, most wonderful song I know. I'm coming.
Welcome to another edition of Dove on the Window. How is everybody? I tell you. Sister Jeffrey, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine. I tell you.
A pleasant good evening to all of you wonderful folks out there. I trust that you had an awesome day, and we are ready to discuss, to continue rather,
the final installment
of the need for
fathers.
fathers. Shall we bow ahead as we pray? Father, we love you, we praise you, we glorify your name, and we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here in your presence, dear Lord, on another Sabbath Well, Sabbath evening.
Yes.
We pray, dear Lord, that you would continue to go before us, dear Lord, even as we discuss this topic. Be with those who are listening, dear Lord, either by Facebook or by television. And we trust, dear Lord, that we would learn this evening as we discuss. May your presence continue to dwell with us. May your Holy Spirit continue to be here with us and to teach us what we need to know is our prayer. In Jesus' name, thanksgiving.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Welcome, 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 Facebook folks, and those of you out there in TV land. This is our final installment of the Need for Fathers, and we again want to wish you season greetings. Hope that you had a good time. Sister Jeffrey, how was your holidays? How are your holidays going so far?
My holidays are going wonderful. With
Had a lot.
somebody asked me, I was at work the other day. Somebody said, "What are you doing for the Christmas?" I said, "Besides nothing." And she started to laugh. So I didn't do much. I didn't do much of anything. However, I still enjoyed my
Still had a
holidays.
good time?
Still enjoyed my
With
holidays.
family and friends. It was beautiful. This is our last installment of this, the Need for Fathers, and indeed our last installment for the year. The next time we come to greet you, God's willing, it would be
In the new year.
in the new year 2020. Clear vision, 2020 vision, clear. So we want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all those of you who stayed with us over the year, those of you who faithfully tuned in to our programs. We want to say thank you. We have a ever-growing fan club. You know, as we go around, we get folks who run into us in the streets, highways, and byways. We have folks who call, who otherwise get in touch with us. And we want to say thank you to all of you who continue to tune in and share with us, and indeed, for those of you who apply the things we share or the things you hear in this program to your personal lives. We want to thank you. We want to thank you so much. I want to send out a shout out to my sister Gloria, my big sister in from Texas. We want to thank you so much for tuning in and also for visiting. She's a Guyanese. Come backy.
It's so interesting she's visiting.
Yeah, she's visiting. She has, you know, when you live somewhere. So thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
So let's get right into it, and the phone lines are going to be open. This is the final installment, so whatever we have is touch and go tonight. We have to get it. We're already running a little behind time. We were promised by our effervescent and our very professional technician, Mr. Dale. How is his whole name? Dale Dempsey O'Reilly Jervis II. That's his name. And we want to thank Dale so much for all the work he does behind the scenes to make this possible. Just by way of a recap, we're talking about the needs of for fathers, and we talked about the role that the fathers play by way of how they teach and they compare to the mom. They share, they're more objective. The research shows they're more objective. They deal more with consequences. You know, it is the father. And mom says, I'm going to tell your father, I'm going to tell your daddy on you. And they deal with consequences, where they deal with teaching right and wrong. They give their children insights about men. You know, a man can do that. Sister Jeffrey, what do you think?
That's true. As much as possible.
All
He
right.
can give what he knows. He can share, you know, and
Yes.
give what he knows. As
I'm
we continue to review, you were thinking?
Yeah, I was thinking. I wonder if a woman could teach a child more about a man than about the man's world than a man himself. Maybe that's a debate. So don't let's start the debate. Don't let's start the debate tonight.
Yep.
All right, fathers, prepare the children for the challenges of life, and about respect between the sexes. And they're saying that we're talking about the ideal home, the ideal father figure.
relationship.
Correct.
Okay.
We're going to talk some more about being an ideal father tonight, right? Then we talked about the fact that research shows that fathers who are married
Okay.
to the mother of their children, those fathers are less likely to become abusive either to the wife or to the children. So those are some.
Because he's married to the mother of the children.
Well, statistics, they just deal with those, you know, when you do these demographic research, sometimes you deal with broad perimeters, and what they found is that generally,
Okay.
married fathers or husbands are less likely to be abusive to children and their wives compared to unmarried shacking up folks, you know.
Okay. All right.
So
All right.
then we talked about the fact that fathers encourage competition. You know, fathers like
Good
to
competition.
you
Good
wrestle and you
Football.
and the games, the sports. You
yep,
know, fathers encourage that competition, while
Teach you how to
moms,
fight.
you moms are more.
Right. We can do the same thing too. Yeah, we can do, because if a mom is competition oriented, you know.
But we talking about default
I know.
behaviors, right? Where moms promote equity and
Making sure everything is
yeah,
okay in the house.
sense of security.
No fighting. You know.
Yeah, stop fighting. And again, if you fight, I can tell your father. So, and then daddy come home and say, who was fighting? Let me see, fight again.
Come, when you fight.
Yeah, you know. So, children whose fathers are there, they are more likely to be more educated. I hope I'm not being too redundant. So if your father is around,
Okay.
you are more likely to become educated.
Okay.
Of course, because that is there to enforce the rules and so on.
Make sure you study.
Compared to children without fathers, they say that it's about 75%. A child with a father is 75% more likely to, 75% less likely to get into premarital pregnancy. So one of the statistics says that if a child has his or her father in his or her life, they are more likely to go to college. Okay, to be more educated. Then they said that a child with a father in their life is less likely to have teenage pregnancy. Okay.
And there's, I guess, a father living at home.
Yeah, or father playing an integral role.
Okay,
and I'm
so
really
they don't have to be at home in the house. However, it's almost as though they're there because I know everything. Our communication level is really going well.
Correct. So it's and we're gonna get to that, but we're talking about the father being involved, right? And then another statistical reality of having a father in the child's life is that the child is 80% less likely to be incarcerated, and I'm very interested in that because most of the guys that we deal with, guys and girls, most of them across the demographic, North America, across the Caribbean, Central America, wherever we have gone, we have found out that the incarcerated, particularly those who are guilty of the crimes, and we're talking about crimes across the spectrum, whether they are blue-collar crimes or white-collar crimes, violent crimes or simple larceny, whatever, most of the times the incarcerated are those who would have grown up without fathers. So when I saw the statistics, particularly about the incarceration and the likelihood of incarceration, given the absence of fathers, I was not at all surprised by that. So fathers not being in your child's life reduces their ability to attain academically. So if your child is dunce and dropping out of school and you are not in the child's life, you are likely responsible for that. I'm talking to fathers.
Yeah.
If your children are getting pregnant, or if you increase the likelihood of your teenagers impregnating or becoming impregnated if you're not in their lives, you are also exposing the child to the possibility of incarceration because you're not in the life. So fathers, please understand.
There's a need.
Correct.
There is a great need.
There's a need for you
for fathers in the lives.
in the life of your children.
No, we understand that it says that a dad tends to see their child in relation to the rest of the world.
Correct. That see their children in relation to the rest of the world, and so dads are the ones who want to push the
them
children out, you know,
Because-
go out and work,
Because basically he's seeing them as one day that's where you will be.
correct.
One day you will be a lawyer. One day you will be the
Correct.
teacher. So here I'm pushing you.
Correct.
So
Go
that
out.
what I'm seeing in my mind's eye becomes a reality,
Right,
basically. So I
right.
push, and I push you.
And moms statistically are the converse to that.
Okay.
Moms are more protective. They want the children to stay home longer.
Okay.
You know, because they see the rest of the world in relation to their children. So they are kind of afraid. You
So
know,
you
they
want
don't
them to go to
right,
school closer to you.
Correct.
You don't want them to have to go to school, go to college, university, out of the
right.
country.
And then
or
you
to the
want them
state.
to
You
live
want-
in the basement or the
Yeah,
attic.
They must be close. It's almost as though you must see them. You must know when they come in, know when they go out.
Because the women are more protective. And of course,
It's not that we don't want the children to be educated, it's just that we want them to be educated close to us.
close, right. But, while we want them gone. We want them to go and experience the world
life.
and fulfill their dream and
Call us and say, Daddy,
no. Well, yeah, let me hear Daddy what?
Daddy, you're just getting a bar fight.
a bar fight. And who won?
That's the question that will be asked.
Who won? Who won the fight? You know, so the balance is needed. You know, the matriarchic, matriarch and patriarch,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Both
are
help.
necessary.
Both of them help in the proper balancing of the child. Okay. Now, so let's get a little deeper now.
Okay.
We want to get a little deeper, right?
Okay.
And I want to say that just because the father is in the home does not mean that the children benefit from his presence.
Wow.
Can I say that again?
That's deep.
Because the father is in the home, you're living in the house, or you're coming around, it does not mean that the children benefit from your presence. Okay? So being there
So-
doesn't mean you're in the child's life.
So that's an uninvolved dad.
Right. Uninvolved, laissez-faire, lackadaisical.
However,
Just
so
there, but
this dad might be a dad who makes sure, goes out to work, make sure that there's food in the house, there's stuff. However, doesn't have a relationship. There's
Correct.
no reason we-
Correct.
Doesn't have a
He
relationship.
doesn't have a relationship with the children.
He's not able to say, go do your homework.
Right.
Come, let me help you with your homework. Let me
Yes.
take you for a ride. We're playing ball. I know dad is there. Dad is in his office, on his computer,
Right, or
whatever,
he's
whatever.
reading the paper, or he's on the
Right. And
internet,
when I
or
come,
he's-
when I come in
he's
as a
busy.
child to talk to daddy,
Go to your mother.
daddy might give me a couple seconds and say, yeah, yeah. What you want, child? And as I tell you, okay, all right, and gone back doing what he's doing.
Correct.
So dad is there. However, my interaction with dad is not as it should be because dad is busy with other things.
Correct. And then when Christmas come, you say Santa Claus, and the children like Santa Claus more than daddy.
More than daddy.
Right. So daddy is not there. So what is needed then? What is needed are fathers who are substantial and deliberate in their involvement with their children.
Okay.
Your involvement must be both substantial and deliberate, in the sense that it must be planned, it must be organized.
So I'm at work. Dad is at work. And dad knows that when I get home, I'm going to be able to spend, Johnny has to do this, Johnny has to do that. And I'm going to be able to spend this time with Johnny. I'm going to be able to help. So basically, dad is preparing in his mind while he is at work what he has to do with his child or with his children when he gets home. And I guess if he has more than 2 children, even if not 2, he has to split the time between those children. So that at the end of the day, he has spent equal time with both of these children. Can we say it like that? Or not necessarily equal time.
But the time must be substantive, and the time must be deliberate.
Good. So it can be all.
So it
can be all together. It can be both of them.
It must be quality time,
yeah,
and not
yes,
just quantity.
I'm not talking about where you're just trying to get time in. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where you plan and you know. No one is going to call me to tell me, come and let's go play basketball outside, because I have this time that allotted that I have to spend with my children. And I'm not talking about hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm talking, even if it happens that it's only 15 minutes. Even if it is just 30 minutes. However, at the end of the day, that child enjoys that 15 minutes, that 30 minutes with daddy.
The child doesn't necessarily have to enjoy the time.
Okay.
It could be time spent in meaningful stuff that the child does at the child's age, the child might not enjoy.
Necessarily, okay.
Like if the child doesn't like to do homework or schoolwork, and that takes time, that child might not enjoy it. You see, so it is not based on whether the child enjoys it
or not.
The time might be spent schooling the child for something that the child might have done in the home or at school or in the community, and the father spends that substantive, deliberate time schooling the child. The child mightn't like it. So this is not for the child's pleasure.
For the child's benefit.
This is for the child's benefit, which might not be.
Okay, but not necessarily for the child's pleasure.
Correct.
However, for your benefit.
The time must be meaningful. It must be substantial. Right?
I get you.
All right. And fathers, and I did this. Fathers must ask themselves, what will this child or what will these children remember of my interaction with them? Okay? So as a father, you get inside of yourself and you ask, what will my children remember of my interaction with them? That's a real...
It's the time that I've spent with them.
Yes, because these children will grow up and they will have occasions to reflect and to address even the involvement that you as a father had in their lives. And as a father, you need to ask yourself, what will this child say about me and my time that I spent or did not? And you hear some horror stories as it relates to fathers and their children. Right?
I was thinking that as I'm trying to reminisce about my father, I remember the times we had up until I was probably about 8 years old. After that, everything is a blur. However, I do remember the things that the neighbor would have done.
Wow.
My mom's friend would have done. Somebody at church, and these, I'm talking about male figures, would have done on my behalf, my siblings' behalf. And I remember those things.
Correct.
You understand me?
But yet, as it relates to your father,
there's a
it's
blur.
a blur.
There's a blur because there's nothing. Nothing happened. So there's nothing that I can say at age such and so. This is what we did. With my mom. And as you were talking, I was remembering. I thought and I said, I remember more of the happy, joyous activities I did with my mom than with the scoldings or beatings or stuff like that. I remember most of those things, the excursions, the picnics, the moonlight night, this, those are the things. So I don't remember too many
Of the
of the
negativities.
negativity. So even though, yes, the negative things were there, and there was time spent dealing with those dealing with those issues, trying to straighten you up for whatever reason, those are not profound.
Top of your mind.
Yes, they're not
Okay.
profound in my
So,
mind.
so fathers, ask yourself what you want the children to remember about your interaction with them, and then, or more so, you should determine the stories you want your children to tell. No, it's a two-part. You ask yourself what you want your children to say about you when they're grown. What will they say about daddy? That's number one. And I'm saying secondarily, or maybe even most importantly, as a father, you should determine what you want your children to say about you. So what you do is you do things with your children that you know they can't help but remember.
Yep.
Take them to cultural center. Take them to the national park. Take them to sports. Go with them somewhere. Spend time with their lessons. Make sure they do their homework. And those are the things that the children will say. And if they don't say it, remind them. I have to do that from time to time.
I was there. Remember,
Yeah.
I was helping you with your
you know.
homework. Remember, you used to help you with your
Correct.
homework.
Yeah.
Or daddy. One of the things I remember is daddy used to help me with my homework. And children, adults, do talk about those things when the
Correct.
homework. Daddy helped them to tie their shoelaces when they weren't able to. Daddy helped them. So they do remember, and they do repeat those things. Even as adults.
You have the song, Dance with My Father. I hear the guy reminiscing. His father used to spin him wrong and so
Until
on,
he fell asleep.
So children will talk. For me, I wanted my children to say that I made them laugh. I wanted my children to say that I taught them about God and the concept of God. I wanted my children to say, well, daddy used to come to my school. We made sure we go to all the children PTA meetings. One of us was represented at the child's PTA meetings. You have to go to see who the class teacher is, find out how the children are doing at school. We did that. I wanted the children to say, I did that. I wanted them to say that I played with them. I wanted them to say that I taught them how boys should treat them. I taught my children how boys should treat them. I only have girls, so I taught them how boys should treat them. I wanted them to say that I respected their mother. And so I never abused their mother and took advantage of her or cursed at her or anything, because I wanted the girls to know this is how men should treat you. Yes, you don't beat about your wife and slap her about, and the children are looking at that, and then the children are learning, those behaviors. So I made sure that I painted the picture in my children's mind that I wanted them to see and reflect on when they were grown. And fathers, those are things that you should do, okay? Those are things you should do. All right. So we getting now to
what ifs.
we getting now to the top of the mid part of the hour, and we're gonna open for you could call, all right? So now that we have beaten up on fathers in the sense that you sitting at home or you're listening via the internet or what, and you're saying, you know what, I failed as a father.
Proper get beat up.
Sister Jeffrey, I messed up as a father. What do I do? What do I do?
Well, acknowledgement is for the first thing, which you already did. You acknowledge.
Okay, good. You acknowledge, right?
I have, as the father, you acknowledge that you have done wrong. You don't fight up and say, oh, you make excuses. You make the decision. You say to yourself, I have not done all that I could have and should have done on behalf of my child or my children.
Correct. So you acknowledge.
Yeah.
All right?
Acknowledge first.
Good. And now, as the new year is upon you, the new year is upon you, upon us, you can also apologize. And I want to I want us to look at apologies in two ways. In the sense that if you acknowledge as a father that you messed up, you acknowledge you messed up, then one of the things that you must do, I don't want to say you should do, I want to say you must. It's imperative that you do it. You need to apologize. You need to apologize to your child, apologize to all your children. That's part one. Part two is, if by chance you're watching and you are a child who feels that your dad has messed up and he wasn't really a dad, then you need to seek an apology from your dad. Okay? So I'm going down two routes here in the interest of time. I'm saying the fathers who are listening, and you're acknowledging that you have not been the kind of dad you should be, then you need to apologize. And I'm saying if you're a child who was a victim of a father who messed up, then you need to ask your father to apologize. And I want to see if I could, if we could strategize how we will do this.
Because I was thinking you go to your father and ask for apology,
You might get slapped.
It might be interesting what the response you get. You might not get what you expected.
Good. So to avoid, to blunt the edge, we are suggesting that you write it. Okay?
You write your apology.
Yeah, you write your apology.
And then you read it, or
You write it. You write your apology. The most important thing that you want to apologize for, you write it. And again, if you are seeking apology from your father, write what it is you want daddy to apologize for. Okay? So you write it. So I'm the father, I messed up, I put it in writing. Where I messed up, how I think I messed up as a father. If you're a child and you're looking for dad to apologize, then put it in writing.
Dad, you need to apologize for this,
correct.
this,
Document it, right? Now, if you're apologizing, fathers, don't defend. You can't apologize and defend at the same time. If you're apologizing, all your guards are down. Okay? When you're sorry, you're sorry. You can't be sorry and then make excuse. I'm sorry, but.
Especially if you have already acknowledged
Right.
that you are at fault. You have not been all that you could have been. And so you apologize. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. You can't say but, you can't say however, nevertheless, anything like that. It has to go straight out. At the end of the day, you must, as a father, must be able to acknowledge not only mentally, but on the paper, I have done wrong through the fact that you're apologizing.
Correct. So no apologies with defense.
No.
Now, if you are seeking an apology, let me caution you, don't expect too much. If you're seeking an apology from your father, do not expect too much, because you might go now and pour out your heart on this piece of paper, and then your father might scrumple up the paper and throw it to one side. So I'm telling you, or he might only apologize for some of the things on the paper, or some of the things that you tell him. Okay? Because you're writing these things down, but you are verbalizing them, right? Which is, we can get to that point just now. So I'm saying to you, if you are looking for, if you're seeking apologies, do not expect too much.
Wow.
Good. Then, try as much as possible to make the interaction face to face.
Oh my
Right?
goodness.
No WhatsApp and Facebook and telephone call, none of that. If it is at all possible, it might not be, your father might be in a different country, or it might not be logistically possible
Or you might
for
not
you
even be alive.
to get to him. Well, if you can't you can't apologize if he. I don't think he can apologize.
You don't think he can? All right, let's continue.
Right? Okay. So face to face, and the rules of engagement are that it must be a place that is mutually agreed upon, and at a time that is mutually agreed upon. You don't want a situation where you tell your father he must come and apologize, at your house with your stepmother and your stepmother don't like, I mean your mother and your mother don't like you or something like that, okay? It can be some way that is uncomfortable, or you tell the girl to come and you're getting the girl by your house and the girl's stepmother don't like she. You understand? It can be some way that is antagonistic or is uncomfortable. It has to be somewhere that is mutually agreed upon, and it has to be a time that is mutually agreed upon. Because you don't want the thing, but you tell me it's 5 and no, I tell you I can't come at 5. No. So what are the three
That's going
things?
to take a lot of planning.
It can work.
I'm not
When
saying
there's
it's
a
not
will,
going to
there's a
work.
way.
I'm just saying that it's going to take a lot of planning on both
And,
parties.
and these are, come on now, we're talking now on the eve. Today is the 27th, 28th, one of those. We on the eve of a new year. So we're talking here about what can possibly become resolutions, okay? I am going to ask my father for an apology, or I'm going to apologize to my children. These are resolutions, right? These are resolutions. We're coming up to the end.
I think next time I see my dad, I think I'm going to
You got them personal.
I think I'm going to write a list. I'm going to take it to my
You go
dad.
home, you gotta go home tonight and write.
I'm going to take it to my dad next time I see him. I'm not even anticipating what's going to happen. I'm not even anxious. I'm just figuring, I'm going to write. I'm going to write some stuff.
Me too. My father never apologized to me, and I think that I will resolve in the first quarter of next year,
Next year too.
to ask my father.
You'll write something.
Yeah, I'm gonna write. I'm
something.
gonna write. Cause I'm a messed up child. I'm really, really messed up, and a lot of that came from not having a father around. And so I'm gonna ask my father to apologize, and I'll see. He the old army man. I don't think he can carry a gun legally anymore, so I might not be shot. But
it's gonna be all good. It's gonna be all
I will.
good.
I
It's gonna
will.
be all good.
And if the encounter, if when I speak with my dad, the encounter is cordial, I'll come back and I'll let you guys know. I'll let you guys. Can you make that promise?
If it's not cordial.
If it's not cordial, I might still let you all know, because then I might have a whole show of people calling in to say
that it didn't work.
Maybe we should do that. Maybe we can do that.
Mine won't be.
We can have a show on
later down in the year, so I won't have information that
in the
early.
first quarter.
No, I won't have.
Maybe we can
information
have a
that
show where you can call in, or you can come on the
and say
set
what happened,
and
say-
say what happened when you ask your father to apologize. Or fathers who apologize can come in and share with
and
the
say
audience
what happened, what was the result.
how that.
But what would be a wonderful story is where you have a father acknowledges, has decided to apologize to his child, and also receives a letter from his child saying, "Daddy, I need to apologize for this."
Okay.
And they
And
are
it-
able
it
to
to
come
come
together
together.
and make
Beautiful.
amends, in such a
that's-
way that they can move on from there. Today, as I was thinking about the program, the need for fathers, I was saying a lot of times what happens is that because we don't get that apology in there on either way, everybody just goes along about their business, and then as you get older, the relationship that you want with your dad or with your child is not happening the way you want it to happen, when all that is needed is a sincere apology. Because I know we can apologize, and I call it oil and water. It's just
not
an
surface.
apology. There's nothing to it. And so as we make that sincere apology, and we make amends, and we move on from there because it's never too late for a father and a child to come together and, don't let me say rekindle. I was looking for another word.
I don't know. I think because I'm thinking of my own father, and there are 5 of us. Well, there are 5 of us who are from one mother, right? That
Yes.
right. So, and as I think of the relationship that all of us have with dad, you can tell that dad was not in our lives.
Yeah, because
The relationship is very, it's very matter of factly.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's very, first thing, it's a truncated
It's not-
relationship. And then there's not much history because he wasn't there. So there is no dad took me here and dad did this with me and that. We don't have that.
So basically, for right now, it's I don't want to use the word force, but out of the acknowledgement of
Him
this
being a
man
father.
is still my
Right,
father.
Right.
You
It's
go
more.
out,
It's
yes.
more out of duty.
Yes,
It's more out of duty than anything else. Right.
So
It's not.
I'm going to go visit dad. I'm going to call dad today.
Yeah.
Not because of, we have a
not
relationship
right, not because
or anything.
we had fun times and you want to
Right.
go
It's
and
just
remind
his
daddy
dad.
about this. It's formal. It's dutiful.
It's almost
it's
as though-
scriptural.
and-
Honor
and-
thy father and thy mother. You know.
And then the thing is with those situations is that you get there and then it's almost as though you run out of things to talk
Yes,
about.
right. Because correct. Or you every time you go, you're speaking about the same thing.
Yes,
Because the
there-
time
the
right.
relationship is not there, so there was nothing old and there's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's just whatever is at the moment. So as I was saying before, even if a dad was not in a child's life, and through an apology, a dad and a child or children can come together and make memories for the future. Yes, you
correct.
don't have
Correct.
stuff in the past. You don't have the
Beautiful,
past.
beautiful.
However,
From
you
a pivot
can
point,
make,
from
yes, you can make
from here on.
future. Your dad might be 80 something and just has, you don't know how long, but those, you can make those memories. Even if it's 1 year, you have a year and a half, 2 years. If those moments can be profound moments, you will even forget the fact that dad was not in your life for the last 30 plenty years. You
30
understand me?
plenty.
So the thing is that is
Starting-
for me,
starting
yes,
somewhere.
it's never too late to reconcile, to make amends, and to move on from there, because we don't want you just, it must not just be an apology. It must be an apology, amends,
Right.
and we
So
go
that's
on.
another addition to what we're saying, which is after the apologies, there need to be amendments. So the apology is made, and we need to talk about a way forward. Okay. So where do we go from here, right? So we're saying you are not the best of dad. You meet. You write your apologies, you apologize, you don't defend. If you're seeking the apology, you are same thing, you write it, you read the thing at FaceTime, some way that is mutually agreeable,
Mutual
at a time that is
time.
mutually agreeable. All right? Again, don't expect too much if you're asking for apologies. And even if you're asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Don't expect too much,
That's
right?
true, because
And then after you apologize, you make amends. All right?
And the thing is with making amends, acknowledging, going through with the apology, making the amends, and moving forward. There are a lot of fathers out there who will get to meet their grandchildren for the first time.
As a result of that, yes.
For the first time.
Yeah,
Yes, some
yep,
of them are
yep,
going to be
yep, you're
grown,
gonna meet
but
your
that and I'm
son-in-law,
sure
your
he's
daughter-in-law.
going to, yes, your sons-in-law, your daughter-in-laws, your grandchildren. I mean, and those are going to be moments
Created.
in time that are not going to be lost. Those children are going to be excited, to meet grandfather.
Correct.
It might have been somebody that they pass and see and don't even realize that was their grandfather. So I mean, I'm thinking about the joys, the happiness that can come from the realization, the acknowledgement, the apology, the acceptance of the apology, the acceptance of the forgiveness, the making amends, and moving forward as a family, getting to know each other, And one of the things that has to happen, I've seen it where a father would come around. And why I think the apology is so necessary. We don't want a situation where, you don't want a situation where we're just in each other's lives. I have animosity towards
The
you.
elephant in the room.
Yes. Yes, you come to dinner, but anything you say wrong, it flares up.
Correct.
There's
Because we didn't address the
good.
issue.
We did not address the issue. So I like the fact of the writing out and making the apology. It will help because at least the forgiveness comes in there and you can move forward without having this baggage of holding on to this hurt and you know when you start to talk about it, as you say, you hug and you cry and you understand the hurt that you caused, the hurt that you created. However, we're reconciling now, we're throwing those things away and we're trying to bond now and make it new, as it were.
You know, if I might, one of the courses that I teach when we deal with prison rehabilitation is restorative justice.
Okay.
And when we deal with restorative justice, what we do is we bring offenders who have committed certain kinds of crimes, and in the same room, taking them through a course, we bring victims who have suffered the same kind, from the same kind of crimes committed against them or committed against someone,
Family member.
some family
something.
member, okay?
Okay.
So we have murderers and rapists and guys who break and enter and guys who are domestic violent offenders and so on. So we bring them into the room, and then we have persons who were raped, persons whose homes were vandalized, persons who have people who were murdered or something like that, and we bring them. And then what we do is, in a very formal way, there are rules of engagement because it's a process that has to be carefully managed.
Okay.
All right? And so because you have these, the offenders, and you have these people who are still hurting, and we take them through a process. The restorative justice is a process, is a course. And as we go along, it is sometimes it gets so emotional because the offenders get to understand how the victims feel.
Okay.
And the offenders get to share again. I grew up without my dad. I was an addict, you know, and so on. I was abused as a child. And then the victims now get to understand the modus operandi of the offender. And then this is where the tears are shed, and it's a beautiful thing. And if that can happen with strangers,
Yep.
victims and offenders, if that can happen much more, as you're talking about, within the family, where when once the apologies are sought
Yep.
or given,
Yeah.
as we discuss a way forward, how we can embrace and we could move to where you can now introduce the grandfather to his grandchildren, or you know, so that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Because what happens when a